Are about to watch me coding up a basic demo of working with the routes in Django. So I just want to show you the finished product first so that you know what we're working towards. And basically what it is, if we just go to our localhost index, we're just going to serve up a basic page. Hey, nothing to be seen here. And that's going to be the index route. When we type in a route with Dodge in it, we're going to get a picture with a bunch of Dodges. And if you haven't figured out by now, yes, I am a Mopar fan. And then also, we're going to show an individual picture of each one of these cars. And all we do is in the URL, add in the name of that car. So if we type in Challenger, we get Challenger, Charger, we get a Charger, and so on. So we're going to create routes to match this up. We're also going to create routes to say, what if somebody types in some random word? Like Chevy, what do we get? Ooh, we're gonna show them demon. Go ahead and first thing you always want to do with Python, go ahead and activate your virtual environment. If you don't have one, you need to set one up, but I keep all mine inside of my environments folder. So for this, I just use Python 2 with Django. So to activate that, once I know I'm in the correct folder, just go ahead and do source, name of the folder, and this is on Mac. PC is a little bit different. /bin/activate. Boom, Django NV on the left here. We're in our environment, so now I can go wherever I want. So now we're going to go ahead and start the project. I have a folder on my desktop called Sandbox, and that's pretty much where I kind of do all these demos, assignments, and stuff. So, all right, I have like a basic checklist that I originally wrote out for myself to help me go through the basic steps of setting up a Django project. If you're just starting out, I recommend doing the same thing. So first thing you want to do, go ahead and type in Django admin, start project, and the name of your project. So this one we're just going to call, and because I am a Mopar guy, I'm going to use Dodges. We'll just say it Dodge routes. There we go. All right. ls, and here we see we have our new Dodge routes folder. Ignore this images folder for now. I preloaded that earlier. I'm going to do something with that later on. Okay. So now we need to go into this project. And if you notice, we have our manage.py. That's what we need to start our server and do some other things. And then this folder here contains some of the settings URLs for the entire project. But with Django, we work with apps, so I need to make a folder to contain all my apps. For now, we're just going to do one. So now I just need to go into it, and because I'm going to import from it, I need it to be recognized as a module, and to do that, we need to create a file called init.py, or dunder init.py with a double underscore. Now that we're in here, now I want to start my app. And this is what's going to contain my routing for what we're doing here. So what we need to do, call Python, and we need to call in our manage.py. We're in a directory that not in the same directory as it, so we need to back up one directory to where manage.py resides. And then we use the command start app and the name of our app. Normally you want this a little different than what your project name is. I'm just going to call this Dodge Routes app. Sometimes I like to add the underscore app to the end just so I can look at it and know I'm referring to an app and not the project. Okay, so now we did that. If we ls, notice here's this Dodge Route apps folder. If we go into that, we will see it has a whole bunch of things already made for us. It automatically made its own init.py to be recognized as a module. Admin, I won't be using that, or apps. Migrations will be later on when you incorporate models. That has to do with databases, sessions, things like that. Tests, we're not doing any testing right now. Views, this is going to be our controller, so we will be using that. One thing that Django doesn't create is a URLs file that we are going to need. So I'm just going to go ahead and create that now because I know I'm going to need it. Two other things I know I'm going to need is we're going to be rendering templates. Since we're going to be using render module, we are going to need a folder called templates because that's where the render method knows to look. And then also we are going to need a folder for all of our static files like CSS, JavaScript, and in this demo we're going to do images. Okay, so I've got this images folder and it has all the images that we're going to use for this project already made up. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that folder really quick. Mainly just go into here into my apps, in an app, and then into my static folder that I created just now. And first I'm going to make a new folder and it's going to be the same name as the app. And then let's go in here and move that folder into here. Alright, that's got all the images that we're going to use here. So, let's go back here. And, alright, let me go ahead and take this folder and pull that into Sublime. Oh, ignore the ignore there. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Alright, so first thing I need to do is to go into the project folder. No, same name as the project name. Contains all the settings and such for the main project. So first we need to go ahead and include our newly made app into the installed apps. Let me pull this on over. And down here, here we go, installed apps. Let me go ahead and add on there apps.dodge routes app. And let's not forget our comma. Only thing we need to do in the settings.py. So I'm just going to close that out. Now we're going to go into urls.py and we're basically going to, all our routing is going to be done within the apps urls.py. So we just need to go ahead and tell this main one, because it gets the routes first, to just basically punt the routing to the other files. So I'm not dealing with admin, so I'm just going to take that line out. I am going to use the include module, comes out of the same place as URL, and we're just going to take that out. So this means any route that it gets, where is it going to go? It is going to go to apps.dodgeroutes app.urls. And we don't need the py extension on here. This will look, but it'll just know to look for this urls.py file in the app within that apps folder. And oh, I forgot the whole include part. That's what we actually need to include. Okay, comma can stay here, doesn't matter. I'm just going to copy this though, because I'm going to use this general pattern for my other urls.py. And that's all I'm going to do in there. So let's go ahead and now go into our app folder URLs, paste this in here. I don't need the exact same stuff, so I'm just going to change this up a little bit. We don't need include anymore, but this is where we are going to route to our views file, which is our controller. So we do need to import that, and since it's in the same directory, we just say from dot import views. So let's first make our index route, and that's just going to hit when we go to our root route. So let's end that string. Now Django uses regex for all of its routing, so if you're not familiar with regex, you may want to learn a few of the basics. This $sign just means end of string. This route will only hit when it's the root route and there's nothing else after it. So where are we going to go when that happens? We are just going to go to your typical views.index. So let's go ahead and save this for now, and let's go ahead and create that index method in our views file, because if we don't, when we try to start our server, it's going to read through everything and it's going to say, hey, this index doesn't exist. So let's just go ahead and create that. We automatically know we always need the request object, and then here let's just simply return render. And what are we going to render? We're just first got to pass in request, and then the actual file that I don't think we've created it yet. No, we haven't. Render knows to look in a templates folder automatically, so we don't need to put that in a file path. But inside that folder, I'm going to create another folder with the same name as the app, just for organization, and we'll just make it index.html. Save this, and then let's go ahead and create that file. So first the folder, dot routes app, and now our file, index.html. Save that. Okay, and create our basic HTML. Dodge routes, whatever. Just the title, doesn't matter what that is. Okay. And in here, what are we gonna have? Nothing. We're just gonna say, oops, 1. Nothing to be seen here. Because there's nothing to be seen there. And, okay. So let's go back into our terminal. And let's navigate back to where manage.py resides. And there it is. Let's go ahead and start our server. And all right, everything's running. I haven't done any migrations because we're not using any database sessions, none of that stuff. So we don't need to worry about migrations yet. That will be our next demo that I do though. So now that that's running, let's go ahead in here, go to localhost. Boom. All right, it's working. So far so good. All right, so this is all about routing though. So what we want to happen when we hit this route and just say dodge, it should show us the picture with all the dodges, which obviously it is not found yet, so we haven't created it. And then second, when we do dodge followed by another string, say challenger, it should display the picture of the challenger by itself. So none of that works because I haven't created it yet. So let's go ahead and first create this route. So this is going to be another URL pattern. Get our regex string, start off with our caret because it means whatever's before it, except this time it's going to be dodge, and that is the end of string. What are we going to pull up there? We're going to make this a little more restful later, but for now we'll just go with views.all because that's kind of what it is, what we're doing here. So let's save that and go in here and let's go ahead and create our all that I just made. Pass in request, and when we get this route, first let's go ahead and create a context object. And this context can be named anything, just like call it context because it kind of makes sense. And it's going to be an empty object. And what is this object going to have? We're going to give it a key called image because this is what's going to tell us which image to display. And this image we are going to pull out of static, and it's going to be out of this .routes apps folder, images folder, and then the name of the file, which this will be dodge all. So the value for this image is going to be the string of that path. I don't need to use static because the way we're going to load this up, it'll know to automatically look inside of static. So dodge routes apps /images /dodge all dot, and these are all JPEGs. Okay, so that is the route. And now let's go ahead, return, render, pass in request, even though we're not using it today. And which file we're going to do? Well, we're not going to use the index because that is what we get when they go to root. So let's just make another one called, let's make it match the name, def all.html, and let's pass it this context object. Alright, so we save that, and now in our templates, let's go ahead, add this new file called all.html. Alright, create our HTML. All we're doing is displaying the image, so let's go ahead and literally just display the image. We don't care about divs or anything like that. So we're just going to do image source, and this we're going to embed some Python here. Alright, and we're going to tell it that's coming from static. And now this image, first, the way this is written, it knows that this static has to do with where the file is coming from. It's static, like in a previous demo I did with CSS. The second one is a variable name, or a key. So it's going to look for where does this name exist, and it's going to exist right here. So we've passed in a context, so this entire object is available in this template. We don't actually have to refer to the name of the entire object. We have access to all of its keys. So when I write image here, it's going to replace this when it renders with this string, which is the route, the path for that image that we're going to display here. And this will know to look inside the static folder. So let's save this and hope that this works. So make sure nothing's broken, go to root, nothing be seen here, slash dodge, and syntax error. Oh, because I forgot one big thing. So we have a block tag static. Did you forget to register or load this tag? That's the keyword right there. I did forget to load the tag. So usually up in the head, because you'll probably be linking style sheets and all that here too. Before you do all that, you normally want to go ahead and load static files. So let's save that and go back again, root works, and go to dodge. Boom, there it is. All right, so far so good, it's working. This is a pretty big image. All right, next, let's make our routes that go to each individual one. So we're gonna match this URL pattern, regex, and this time it's gonna go dodge slash whatever we put in. This is going to be a variable name because it could be Challenger, Charger, Durango, whatever. We don't know what it is. We don't want to make a route for every single possibility, because if this was a database of users and you were looking for one specific user, you can have like 50,000 or millions, whatever. You can't do a specific route for each one. So we're going to basically just give it like a variable name saying, hey, it can expect anything here with some structure here. So in this case, we're going to expect a string. So first we need our pattern group, and in Python we start off with $P. Who knows what the P stands for? It's been debated. If you look online, some people say it stands for Python, others for pattern. Just call it whatever you want. Anyway, and then you have these two angle brackets. Within this angle bracket is going to be the variable name you're going to give this group. So whatever name you put here, you'll have access to the value of this in your controller based on this name. So here we're just going to say car, I guess, because that's really what this is for this project. So this is just names what it is. Now we have to tell it what to expect. Now I've already looked this up earlier, so I already know. It's going to be \w plus. And this basically says any length of words, so some word, one word. If we were looking for digits, it would actually be like the \d, and this is all regex stuff. So, but again, here just w, it's any one word, and add in our $sign for end of string, close off this route pattern. Where's this going to go? Well, this one is going to be a little more restful, so we'll go with views.show. Okay, so let's save this, and now let's go into here, and let's create our show. Now in this one, it's a little different. We pass in requests like we always do, but there's also going to be a route parameter. There's going to be another variable passed in. So we need to tell this method to expect it. What do we call it? Well, we actually defined it already right here. This is where it's going to pull from here. So we named it car right here. So let's go ahead, write car here. Okay, and so this is what I'm going to do now, because I can have many cars, and that one can be any one of them. I'm going to create an object, and this object is going to contain all the different routes or paths to each individual image. So let's just call this cars, and let's do this. If this is where we just go down the line. So if one car is Challenger, the value for that will be Dodge routes app /images /challenger.jpg. All right, and then comics. We're going to have a bunch of these, so I'm just going to go ahead, copy this, and paste what I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. Oops. 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one will be charger. And let's see, we've got caravan. And dart. Durango. And journey. Okay, so these are our 6 cars that we have. We're going to use this object here in just a minute because now we're just going to do a little check. So we'll say if car and cars. So we're saying if whatever this is, if that is in of this object and it looks for the keys. So if somebody types in the URL challenger, it's going to say if challenger in cars, and it'll look through here. And then if it is, then what we're going to do is create our context object that we're going to pass to our template, and we're going to say this image value is whatever cars of car is. So if you see what we're doing here, so we're creating this context. We're going to say that the image, which as we did before, we're going to use this to define our path, is going to equal whatever the value is of this object, this key of this object. So if we did the URL challenger, it'll look for the challenger key in this car's object, and it'll get past it this route. Let's just go ahead and return for now, just to make sure everything's working. Pass in request. Get the routes, and this one is going to be show.html, and then pass it in context. And then finally in here, let's create a new file. Alright, show.html, enter, HTML. Okay, let's not forget, like last time, to load our static files, and then here image source, and again it's just going to be static and image, so whatever image we created in context it will show here. Alright, so let's make sure that works. Go in here and type in challenger. Man, it's a beautiful car. Let's make sure all the routes work. So charger and Durango, dart, caravan. Yeah, for a minivan, that's a nice looking minivan. Alright, and what was the last one? Oh, journey. Okay, so there we go, our routes work. Now, just to finish off this little project the way we had it set up in the beginning, what if we type anything in here? Like, what if we try to type in Chevy? We don't like Chevy, but we also don't want the user to see this. So what are we going to give it when someone types that in? Well, it's still a word, so this route will still pick it up, and we're still going to pass it in to this views.show. But this is not going to be true because it can't find Chevy in these cars, because we don't want Chevy around these things. So we're going to do a quick else here. So else, whatever word is put in here is not in here. Context equals, and same thing, image, and we're just going to define the route here as .routes app, images, and this is where that daemon JPG comes into play, because this is what we want to show. That's right, you want to try to put in Chevy or Ford, you get the wrath of the demon. That all works. Now obviously when you're doing things, you always, even if it's really simple, you don't want to be repeating yourself doing the same thing. Now in this case, we'll show you one more thing with routing too here. Our all and our show are identical. They do the same thing. So we're duplicating ourselves. Do we really need both? Nah, not really. But in order to make it all work, say with this show, we're going to need to add something else. Since that does have a specific route, we need to maybe give it a key, some sort of a key. So let's just go ahead and do that. So up here we had this route. Let's just go ahead and copy that, or path I should say, sorry. And this one, we'll just say, call it daemon to match all these up. So that will load this up. I'm just going to comment this block out because we don't need it, and that way we'll know which route is actually working. So here's the difference though. That one only gets, we're supposed to load the all. Oops. I didn't want daemon really. We'll just call that all. So this is what we want to show when we just type in dodge. Now the route, this is the interesting part, because this route, if we go to this method in the controller, well, this method is expecting some kind of string, because how else are we going to do this check if there's not a string to check on? So one other thing we can do with these routes, and it's kind of cool, so we are going to basically say, okay, when we get this route, we still need the same regex match. We're going to go to views.show. But since we don't have the word in the URL to pass, we can actually, in these routes, pass our own key value. And so car, colon, and I said the key was all. Something else you can do in Django routing is you can pass parameters through the URL like this, or you can actually, as a third argument, pass in an object with whatever key values you want in it. And you can make this object contain however many things you want on here. So let's go ahead and save that. And we've already typed in, added in this all into here to show that image. So we actually don't even need this all HTML. So I'm just going to delete it. All right. Save all this. And let's make sure our entire app works. Index, perfect. Now's the moment. We type in dodge, and there it is. Just to make sure. Challenger, there it is. And finally, yep, I even don't like Porsches. There we go. They get the daemon too.